Possibly you've heard me comment on not trading after a gap down or a gap up. And the reason for that is because of the equilibrium that, or I should say the lack of equilibrium that occurs when you have a huge gap one way or the other. And especially when you're dealing with very sensitive indicators, because when you, if you've had a chance to look at any of those type of videos, you can see that the indicators on a gap down will start to move up, but the price does not move up. In fact, the price may be notching its way, continuing down in that gap down situation. Now, that being said, on the chart, I have on the yellow vertical line right here, I have a gap down situation that occurred, and excuse me, I forgot to move my other yellow line over there. All right. On the yellow line over here, on the zip chart, zip yellow is lowest. Over here on this chart here, on the power chart, zip yellow is lowest. With the exception, power, I said zip yellow, I meant power yellow. Power yellow is lowest. Power red is under that. And if you haven't heard me comment, power red, we don't think of, we exclude power red when we're talking about the lowest power yellow being lowest, and also when we're talking about power pink as a deep cycle indicator, because power red just runs low most of the time, or highest when you're in an uptrend, just because of the way it's built. And so it's discounted. Just like over here in the zip chart, if you go 2 days after this gap down, zip green is now lowest. We don't count zip green, and again a few days later, now zip Zion is lowest. And we exclude zip green and zip Zion because even though they're one of the 22 market force indicators, they are a calculation of buyers entering in and out of the market. They are not a indicator that tracks a force or a pressure in the market of that stock. And so that's why we eliminate them from consideration. And the basic rule of the yellow twins, power yellow and zip yellow, is that as long as they're both down and lowest and going up, excuse me, I said that wrong. As long as they're lowest and going up, you're in an uptrend. And the opposite is true. If they're both highest and going down, you're in a downtrend. And so we can continue throughout this uptrend that we see here, that's 5-6 days long as well. And we also can identify with the fact that the lines, that the swing trade, if you will, can continue for those 5 or 6 days. And then we get out of the trade. Typically, you can either, like right now, yellow is still lowest on this line here. It looks like green is, but just by a hair, the power yellow is the lowest at minus 0.13, and the green is at 0.10, and the orange is at 0.12. So it's just barely the lowest. So theoretically, then we would give ourselves one more day to go as part of the uptrend, and it's on this day here that the uptrend would basically be defined as over in our calculation because of the power yellow no longer being lowest, and as well, I haven't double checked on the zip yellow, but that might still be the lowest. But anyway, one of them has gone under, so the pattern technically is over. The trend, the swing pattern is over. Now that doesn't mean when they get, especially with the zip chart, when the zip yellow goes under some of those other lines, sometimes it does it real early. That doesn't mean the uptrend is over. It's just that it has gone under, and if the yellow remains lowest, you can continue in that trade. Just watch it a little closely. But that's the ideas behind one exception to trading right after a gap, when both zip yellow and power yellow are lowest and they start on their way up, and then it works great. But as you can see in that example, it worked two real nice days. Then you had a pretty big red drop, gap down drop, and then a couple 3-4 days up again. But that's an exception. I wanted you to see why that. One of the things you should know is zip yellow and zip blue are the two slower lines on the zip chart. Not that they're slow, but they're the slowest. Likewise, power yellow is one of our slower lines. It has a tendency to move. It's not like the power 4, power pink, blue, white, and yellow. Excuse me. It's not like those lines are the other three lines. Excuse me. You can often see power yellow. It's like it's independent. You'll often see it's up high, traveling highest, and you'll see it down low, traveling lowest. And so it has a distinction other than, and it picks up something that the other white, pink, and blue lines in the power chart don't pick up. So that's the exception.